Tonight, the United Workers' Party distances itself from political victimization of popcorn vendor Simple. 4 new cases of COVID-19 and 5 recoveries take the number of active cases to 86. And an appeal to citizens to get vaccinated and concerns surrounding expiration of vaccines are addressed. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Wednesday, the 30th of June, 2021. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The United Workers' Party is distancing itself from the situation that arose between Castries Mayor Peterson Francis and popcorn vendor Simon Simple Philip. The spokesperson for the United Workers' Party, Nancy Charles, says the party will not tolerate any kind of victimization. The question remains, will Mayor Francis be made to pay for his actions? The Minister for Local Government says consultations are taking place with the mayor and steps will be taken to remedy the situation. Genevieve Gonzague begins our reporting.
Castries Mayor Peterson Francis has received much backlash following his decision to remove popcorn vendor Simon Simple Philip from the spot in Constitution Park once granted to him by the CCC. Simple claimed political victimization, and Mayor Francis, in a stunning move, indicated that the matter was indeed political, stating that Simple should not bite the hand that feeds him. The vendor had participated in an anti-government demonstration. The spokesperson for the United Workers' Party, Nancy Charles, explains that such a policy is not tolerated by the United Workers' Party nor the government of St. Lucia. She says the situation is unfortunate and the mayor may have to atone for his actions.
The United Workers' Party has had a policy position that we do not subscribe to any level of victimization of anyone, especially because of your political affiliation. Having had some of our members been victims of that level of discrimination, you would have noted a few years ago under a Labour Party administration, we had some CCC workers who were fired, and it was purely because of their political affiliation by the former mayor, Ms. Shirley Lewis. These workers took the government to court, and they also won their case in court. So the United Workers' Party and also the government is distancing itself from that type of a policy position. We do not subscribe to it and we do not support it at all. And as I said before, I think the mayor will have some level of explanation to give to the general public as to why he would feel comfortable in making such a public statement, but certainly this is not supported by the United Workers' Party at all.
There have been many calls for corrective measures to be taken in this situation, and some have even called for the removal of the mayor. Given that the Castries constituency office and the office of the mayor falls under the purview of local government, Minister with responsibility for local government Leonard Montoute was questioned as to whether the future of Peterson Francis as Castries mayor was in the crosshairs.
I have spoken to the mayor, like I indicated to you. I indicated to him that I thought that in terms of his utterances that it was unfortunate some of the things that he said. But at the same time, I said to him, well, if there's anything that could be done to redress the situation, like the gentleman has to meet certain requirements and so on, by all means, it's not a free-for-all. I mean, others, whether they are supporters of this party or that party, have to meet the demands that are set in place and so on. So that is being looked at the moment. And he didn't indicate specifically whether or not he was, looking to bring him back, but he understood what I said and, he agreed that he will look at it.
Many have compared the mayor's actions to a statement made by Senator Fortuna Belrose, which is now labeled the Belrose Doctrine. The senator stated that those who did not vote for UWP should not expect to benefit as constituents who voted to elect UWP candidates. Charles denies that this quote-unquote doctrine is the policy of the party.
Whilst people may be trying to attribute that if you did not support the government, nothing happens in your constituency, the works on the ground shows the opposite of that. Even in the constituency of Castries Southeast, where Minister Belrose is and Mr. Pierre is represented, a lot of works have been undertaken in there. Road works, maintenance works, a lot of activities has been happening there. And even in the South, for example, in fact, we have been criticized for having too much activity in the South because we want to quote-unquote win the Southern Belt. We want want the Labour Party people to lose in the South, and that's why we're doing so much work. So that is totally against what they're trying to designate as, quote-unquote, the Belrose Doctrine. There's no works to show that. In the South, in Vieux-Fort North, Vieux-Fort South, in Labrie, in all these constituencies, a lot of works have been happening. A lot of focus has been on those areas. So certainly, if that was the policy position of the party, we would not be engaging in activities and projects and works in those constituencies.
It is left to be seen how the situation with the mayor and the vendor will be resolved. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force is laying down the law when it comes to election campaigning amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Following consultations with all political parties, the RSLPF, with guidance by the Ministry of Health, has come up with protocols which will govern this election season. A major disappointment is that no national public meetings or rallies will be permitted. Nisha Charles reports.
As the impending general election draws closer, political parties are rallying support in the hope of getting into office for the next 5 years. With that rallying brings an increased number of people that warrants intervention due to the threat of COVID-19. In an effort to allow some form of campaigning to take place, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force held consultations with all parties involved and has devised a plan it believes will work. According to Police Press Relations Officer Anne Joseph, there will be no limit on the number of in-person public meetings, but it will require prior approval of the police.
Island-wide national motorcades will only be permitted on a Saturday, Sunday, or a public holiday. Each party will be permitted one island-wide motorcade per week. Permission will be granted for constituency whistle stops. 5. Constituency motorcades, only within the constituency. 1 each per party or independent candidate per constituency per week. And the north of the island means from Gros-Islet to Dennery South and Gros-Islet to Ancillary. And the south of the island is from Micoud North to Soufrière-Foncé-Jacques.
Commissioner of Police Milton Daisy says there will be consequences for those who go against the conditions agreed upon.
It is an offense to have any political meeting, any motorcade of any sort without the permission of the commissioner. So once you are doing it without permission, it is an offense which involves arresting. Now we, the police, we do not want to go that route. So we are urging persons, and that was one of the main reasons that we brought the main parties together to understand that if they are going to have their meetings, their motorcades, and so on, that they need permission. So the police is aware and could take the necessary steps.
Parties must apply to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force at least 3 days in advance of the day of the proposed event, providing all details of the activity. The parties or organizers must gain written authorization or approval from the police before proceeding with any activity. All authorized activities must end at least 1 hour before the curfew time. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
The Civil Service Association has called a series of urgent meetings with its membership from the 29th of June to the 1st of July. The Secretary General of the CSA explains that these meetings are to discuss a response to government's request for deferment of the 1% and 2% salary increases as per the current collective agreement. The CSA says this would be the second time that the deferment is being requested, and it explains that the response that will be issued is dependent on the response and reaction of members.
In April 2020, at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of St. Lucia indicated difficulty in being able to pay public servants their full salaries and had requested that salaries be paid in part cash and part bonds. That offer was rejected by public servants, and the resolution was for the 1% and 2% salary increases agreed upon in the collective agreement would be deferred. The General Secretary of the St. Lucia Civil Service Association, Claude Paul, says more than a year later, there is talk of yet another deferment. This has prompted a series of urgent meetings called by the CSA with its members.
We've received communication from the TUF executive concerning a proposal from government for deferment of the salary increases which were negotiated and were due from April 2020 and April 2021 respectively. That is 1% and 2%. So the government has requested a deferment of those increases and the retroactive pay associated with it. The TUF had suggested the deferment for 6 months, so that would have brought it up to September 2020. However, as far as I understand it, there has not been much discussion since then on it, and it's only now it's coming to the fore.
Paul says members will be the ones to decide whether or not they are on board with yet another deferment of salary increases.
So CSA has called a series of Zoom meetings with its membership, the first one being held last night. There'll be one tonight and tomorrow. We're trying to accommodate as many members as possible so that we can get the feedback of our members before we go to the TUF to get common ground on the position of the TUF affiliates as far as that deferment that is being sought by government is concerned.
He says for now consultations are ongoing with members and the ball is in their court when it comes to the way forward. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. Still to come, 4 new COVID-19 cases are confirmed. The Ministry of Health addresses concerns surrounding the expiration of COVID vaccines, and can the vaccine affect your menstrual cycle? That and more after the break.